Welcome back to Property Unlocked, the podcast where we talk everything property investing. Now, if you're looking to buy an investment property with a budget of $750,000 or less in 2026, then this video is for you. We're diving into our top 5 suburbs for 2026 in Melbourne specifically. And today I'm joined with Tiffany. Hey Tiff, how are you going?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. It's been a little while since we last recorded together. So I wanted you to give the listeners an update on your personal portfolio because a lot has changed since our first recording.
Yes, I was going to say 2025 has been a big year for myself and my fiance as well. I would say, to recap, we were in our accumulation phase. So I think the last time we spoke, we were already transacted on our Darwin property, which is our second investment.
Yep.
And we have touched on a bit of Melbourne, but I believe we haven't transacted since then. Now, at the end, we ended up purchasing a property in Fawkner.
In Melbourne's north?
Yeah, in Melbourne's north, not too far away from the CBD, which is great.
Yep.
And we bought that with a developable block of land for $880, which is good for us. And then we've since also bought in our SMSF as well. So for that, we diversified our portfolio and bought in Perth as well.
Now let's dive straight into the Melbourne market and where you should be buying in 2026 with your budget of $750,000. Now I want us to begin in the southeast of Melbourne. The southeast has been hammered this year with growth. Lots of buyers, both locally, interstate. We've seen the Frankston market go nuts. Frankston North grew by 20% this year, which is insane. It's definitely the most affordable part of the Frankston market. Lots of social housing, but that affordability was a great entry point. And that's why we've seen, a lot of interest in the southeast. So I want to begin with Cranbourne West. Tiffany, can you tell me your thoughts on Cranbourne West?
Yeah, so look, what we have seen on our end in terms of data as well for Cranbourne West, the median house price sits just over $700,000.
Yep.
And over a 12-month period, we have seen house prices grow by about 7.4%, which is above the median of roughly about 6%, which is good. Now, Cranbourne West, I would say, is probably one of the more underrated suburbs in Melbourne southeast. It does offer a mix of newer housing stock, which does suit some of our SMSF buyers and investors as well. That, you know, like when you're purchasing in a super, the ideal property would be something that's low maintenance, that's clean, not a lot of renovations or maintenance costs required, so it doesn't eat into your super as well. But we've also seen older homes towards the eastern side of the suburb, which provides, clear value add and renovation opportunities as well.
Yep. I like that it gives both options.
Yeah.
I would say the majority of our investors want that value add potential, whether it be to renovate, add a granny flat. So the eastern side of Cranbourne West offers that, whereas the western side is much newer, better for those passive investors. And one other thing I like about Cranbourne West is it is on the established side of Cranbourne, so you don't have that incoming supply. There is a new development out that way. It's not residential, it's actually for a business park. So that should create more employment opportunities. Whereas if you go into Cranbourne East, you're getting closer to the Clyde area, and that is where you have more of that incoming supply from new housing estates. So Cranbourne West, definitely the best of the bunch, and it's just neighbouring the Frankston coastal market, which had so much growth, as I mentioned. And when you have that growth, there is a ripple effect. So Cranbourne West is definitely the next to benefit from that ripple. So, yeah, we're active in that market. We've got buyers there currently looking. Now, let's travel north and we'll find ourselves in Thomastown. This is our next pick for 2026. Tiffany, what can you tell me about Thomastown?
Yeah, so Thomastown, I would say if you've got a budget of $750 or less, it's a great entry point for us. Your
100%.
neighbouring good suburbs like Lalore and Mill Park as well.
Yeah, and Bundoora.
Exactly. And I think Bundoora prices have surpassed the $750 mark as well from what we've seen.
They're well and truly over $800 now.
Correct, exactly. So the median house price for Thomastown from what we see is about $740,000. Over the past 12 months, houses have risen by about 9.3% as well. And I would also say it's one of the strongest value add suburbs in Melbourne's north at the moment. So you've like this suburb, it's fully established. It's quite close to the CBD and offers large subdividable blocks under $750,000, which is becoming increasingly rare in this current market at the moment.
Agreed. We recently bought one for $745,000. That one was for two brothers based in Sydney. They wanted all of the boxes ticked. They wanted the granny flat potential. They wanted subdivision potential. So we got them that property in Thomastown, 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom, good rental yield, 4%, and they can do 3 units.
Great.
And they're in their 20s. They're like 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
So imagine, buying that now, land banking for 10, 15, 20 years, and then when they have the capital, they can go and develop that. So fantastic opportunity. Actually, before we go to the next suburb, the last thing I want to say about Thomastown is I like how there's very little amount of social housing for that price point. You've got a few pockets, but the majority are, mostly owner occupied. So it feels safer as well.
Yeah,
so I like that.
I would say there's probably about 1.6% of housing in Thomastown is social housing as well. So that's quite low compared to some of the other suburbs.
Especially in the north.
Yes.
And that brings us to our next pick, which is one of our favourites actually, West Meadows.
Yes.
Tiffany, what can you tell me about Westy?
Well, what I like about West Meadows, it's actually one of the more affordable pockets in Melbourne's north. So the median house price there is just under $700,000.
Yep. And
over a 12-month period, all the houses there were on average growing by about 9%.
That's awesome.
Which is really good. And what I like is the proximity to the city. It's only about 20 kilometres from Melbourne CBD as well. So that allows buyers with a lower budget of $700,000 to purchase a freestanding house that's not too far away from the CBD as well.
It's awesome. And just on that, there are 2 very different parts of West Meadows.
Correct.
So you've got the eastern side, which is closer to Broady, and there you have a lot more social housing. And as we know, that can drag down the value of your property in the street, if you've got a lot of social housing in the street. Whereas the western side, very little social housing, mostly owner occupied. So in that more premium pocket, you're seeing houses sell well over $800,000. So in order to get into that suburb for even $700 we're buying there, you do have to be in that inferior pocket, but still, like you said, you're 20 kilometres from the city, you're a short drive to the airport, you're fully established, and you're next to more premium suburbs like Gladstone Park and Atwood. So it's a great entry point.
Correct. And I would say if you're between the 2 pockets as well, all those prices would have been priced in and factoring that as well.
The growth is just as good in those social housing areas. It's just a more affordable entry point.
Yes, correct.
And we recently bought a house there actually for a client, Charlie. He's just bought his second property with us, house in West Meadows, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, nice block of land with a nice view of the valley. We've snagged that for $710,000. Now, the neighbours done a full rebuild, a beautiful home, and then 2 doors down they've subdivided. So on the same block of land. So great value for $710K.
Correct.
That's
awesome.
I
would agree.
Yep. And you're sourcing properties. I know you're quite close with the agents in West Meadows. What are your thoughts on the current stock levels?
Very tight at the moment, just because what we're seeing on the ground is there was a lot of activity around the city of Mirrabacks, which includes the Glenroy, Hadfield, Fawkner areas. Those prices have climbed up quite significantly. And now we are seeing that buyers with a lower budget end of about 700,000 to 750,000, they're now entering in markets like West Meadows, for example.
And Gladstone Park.
Correct. So where those buyers have recently been priced out of Glenroy, Hadfield, Fawkners are now starting to look at those particular areas.
Yep, agreed. Alrighty, let's now dive into the west side of Melbourne. And I'm sticking to my guns on this one, and that is Deer Park. What can you tell me about Deer Park?
Yes, so what we are seeing on the ground in Deer Park is the median house prices there. They're about $665,000. Over the 12-month period for Deer Park, houses there have grown by about 13%.
That's awesome. Better than West Meadows.
It's quite a lot, yes.
Yep.
The stock on market levels is quite tight. It's about 0.69% as well.
Nice. Cool. So we're seeing tight stock, and that means supply shortage, really. So when you have demand entering the market, you get price growth. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Deer Park. And it's one of the last affordable suburbs left in the West, unless you go further out and then you're entering the tar neat sort of territory where you have all of that new housing supply, which we don't want. But to be in the established West, Deer Park, St. Albans, Derrimut is probably a bit too expensive now, but those were the established suburbs that we would have targeted. Now it really just depends on what you can find, because clearly there's not much stock.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's now go to the southwest, and I'm throwing in a curveball because we're entering the Geelong market now.
Yes.
And that suburb is Bell Park. All right, so Bell Park, it's just neighbouring Bell Post Hill. Tiffany, what do we have on Bell Park?
Yes, so median house prices in Bell Park are around that 640 mark. Over a 12-month period, it's grown by about 8.5%. Quarterly growth, we have seen it's actually about 4.5% as well.
Nice.
Vacancy rates, we're seeing that tightening up. That's quite low at 0.39%. And stock on market is just below 1% as well.
That's ticking all the boxes.
Correct, exactly. So basically, low stock levels, able to get the houses there rented out quite easily because of low vacancy rates as well, and a more affordable option if you don't have a budget of $700K or over.
Geelong is an interesting one. I'm looking at the 12-month growth for Bell Park, and the market actually only began growing May of this year. So like 6 months ago, right? And the majority of that growth has been in the last 6 months. Of course, that quarterly or the past 3-month growth was really good, 4.5%. What that means is the majority of this growth has been in the past quarter, which is phenomenal. It shows us that demand is coming back into the Geelong market. It's picking up momentum. And I was really surprised to see that the rental yields in Geelong are now sitting at like 4%.
Yeah.
3 years ago, it wasn't like that. It was well in the mid-3s. So to see Geelong and Bell Park in this example having a yield as good as what you'd get in West Meadows, it's actually quite impressive, and it's a really good sign for the Geelong market. So good buying. Now, I will say to be spending $750K or less in Bell Park, you're most likely looking at an older, well, definitely an established house, but cosmetically dated. So if you're buying out that way, I would say have $10K in cash ready to put towards some renovations. And then, over time, you will be updating the house, making it more rentable over time. So that's Geelong. So those were our 5 top picks for Melbourne Property Investment 2026, the exact suburbs, so I hope you guys appreciated that. And we're sourcing properties in most of those suburbs for ourselves, clearly. Tiffany just bought in Fawkner, which is, just across the road from West Meadows, really. But also our clients. That's where we're actively buying for our clients. So, those are our picks. Now, with all of that said, well, for some price predictions or capital growth predictions, honestly, I'd expect double-digit growth in all of those suburbs. They're all growing by around 1% per month already. So annualized, you can expect around that 12% capital growth. As I mentioned earlier, Frankston North did 20% 2025. That's wild. I wouldn't be throwing out numbers like that. But the capital growth that we will achieve next year really does depend on what happens with the cash rate as well, which is currently sitting at 3.6%. I think if you can take anything away from this episode, it is that Australia's real estate market does depend on where interest rates are sitting. You know, when interest rates go up, we have less access to capital. People are tighter with their money. They're not investing as much. Whereas if those rates come down next year, which they did, you know, in 2025, people are accessing more capital. You know, they're feeling more positive about spending and investing. So if rates come down next year, we're going to have a great year. If they hover around 3.6%, we'll still have a good year, you know. Before we close out, Tiffany, I want to know what your plans are personally for 2026. Are you planning to buy any more investments?
I think for me, what we'll do is we'll relook at our borrowing capacity as well. We'll do some valuations on our current properties as well and see if we can go again. Otherwise, I would actually relook at our overall property strategy because our end goal is to achieve passive income so that we have the option to retire early if we wanted to. So re-looking at that, looking at all the properties that we have on our portfolio, look at what borrowing capacity we can get access to and see what we can do about it from there.
Also, you mentioned that your fiance wants to buy a new Hilux, right?
Oh, God.
You can't be buying all these properties.
No, exactly. No.
Let this man buy his Hilux.
No, and that's the other thing as well is like, look, we've done all the hard work of
in 2025.
Yeah, of investing in property for ourselves and for our future as well. So now it could be weighing up between do we buy another property or do we want to spend something a bit more nicer?
You've
on
also
the
got your
lifestyle
wedding
side.
Yeah,
but that's also another thing as well. We've got our wedding coming up next year in February as well. So sole focus at the moment is to purely pay off the wedding, go through that, enjoy our honeymoon as well, which we haven't really planned out yet, to be honest.
Or budgeted for.
But no, like that's happening in 2026.
Okay.
And then we'll consider other expenses like do we get a new Land Cruiser, for example, or do we try and get another property? So those are the life choices that my fiance and I will discuss as we go along, but wedding first.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today, Tiffany. I'll see you at
pleasure.
work tomorrow. No, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Again, this is exactly what we're buying for our clients. If you're looking to buy in 2026, then reach out to us for, you know, a free discovery call. We can talk about your budget, whether it be, you know, $500,000 all the way up to $1 million. We service everything in between. So reach out, we'll have a chat, and we'll get you on your way for investing in 2026. Thanks.
See ya.